Hi everybody, how are you doing? This is Robin and this is my eclectic nest. I hope everybody had fun yesterday and kept safe. Celebrating St. Patty's Day. Um, I had fun, I know that. Danced and sung and stayed sober. Whoop whoop. Um, okay, so I guess what I want to talk about today, um, since I keep advertising it, talking about it, is Reiki. I would like to discuss to you um, a little bit of the origins, what it's for, and what it'll do. Now, so in saying that, what naturally will come up is the chakra system because it all goes together. Um, so we're going to learn some about that today also. So Reiki, where did it come from? Well, Reiki is about a little bit over 100 years old, if that. It was first realized by a gentleman named Dr. Usui, who was a philosopher, a journalist. He spent time as a secretary one time, but and being a Buddhist monk. He was a Buddhist monk also. But his main love was healing and healing modalities. So what he used to do, he used to go around the countryside. I'm guessing just in Japan because I didn't read that he went anywhere else to learn different healing modalities. And I guess it just must not have been good enough for him. He thought that there was more. So he did what only a good Buddhist monk will do is he went into literally went into a cave and meditated and fasted and prayed for a while. On the 21st day of doing this, he was given through the universe, God, goddess, his higher self, these ancient Sanskrit symbols. And we still use these symbols today in modern Reiki. Um, so what after he did after playing with them and integrating them, when he came down off the mountain, so the legend goes that he went to this inn to get something to eat, and the innkeeper's daughter, I think it was, had a bad tooth. Um, I think she was getting an abscess because, it says it was like going down in her jaw. And so he decided to use this newfounded information on her and basically laid hands the Reiki style, and it healed. So what he did was he took to the streets and healed people. And I guess it became like a really big hit. So he started this clinic, which later morphed into a university in Kyoto, Japan, teaching people this new healing method, which comes in 3 stages. Your first stage is you learn the symbols. Second stage, you get initiated into being an actual practitioner. And then the third stage, you get initiated so you can teach people how to do it themselves. I don't do that part. I'm just a practitioner. So how it came over to the West from across the pond, or I guess across from the Pacific, was that a lady of Japanese descent, and I forget her name, it was about 1935, she became gravely ill. And the doctors here, of course, do what they do best and suggested that they perform surgery on her. But following her instinct, she knew that that wasn't the best deal. And like I said, being Japanese descent, she heard about this Reiki, so she flew back over to Japan, had Reiki performed a couple times, several times, and she wasn't ill anymore. She healed up. So, being curious and being grateful, of course, she learned how to do Reiki and became a master herself, and then came back over here to the west coast of America, and she started herself her own Reiki school. Um, it a beautiful thing, but I guess she wanted to make it exclusive, and some of the people that were associated with her beginning university didn't appreciate that much, and so they started um, just teaching everyday people how to do it. So, I learned it through going up to a Reiki share. That's where practitioners come um, together and give out free Reiki for about 10 minutes at different places. They're not so much now since COVID, um, but they're up and coming now that thankfully a lot of the restrictions are being lifted. But anyway, so this was about 2016. Um, One of my soul sisters, Cindy, she knowing that just from life, from my things that happened in my own life, up to that time, that I might really appreciate it. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. So we went in, and, we were divided up in groups, and we each had a practitioner with us, and the practitioner and us lay people laid hands on each other. And I was hooked. And I knew I was hooked because I leaked about 3 or 4 really big tears out of my eyes, and I don't usually cry like that unless something touches my soul. It's very hard for me to cry. Um, so I was hooked. So I had to find out all I could. So within searching this, I became a practitioner through an online university that teaches all sorts of different things, called Udemy. And so I became a Reiki practitioner through a teacher named Lisa Powers. Wonderful program. We had a syllabi. She has a manual to go with the course. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I did it because I'm a nurse, and I thought it would help me. Help you how? Well, according to Reiki, it doesn't. Once you're initiated or attuned to it, it doesn't give you. It doesn't give you like any special powers. All it does is allow you to harness and focus and to empower gifts that you already have. So that was me. And I knew that it was me because, being a nurse, my patients always told me that that my touch always made them feel better. Friends would always tell me that they felt calmer around me, which is a telltale of being a natural healer. So, which, by the way, all of us are. All of us have all these gifts within inside of us. It's just some of us, it's more in the forefront than it is for others. Just like throwing a football or soccer, or writing. It just allowed me to focus that, which is all good, and the rest is history. So, but that doesn't tell you really what it is, now, does it? No. So, the way Reiki works, and I'm going to say I because I am the practitioner. So, what it does is, before I deal with clients, and I do it on myself almost every day, I will invoke these symbols through my mind and visualize them being on my hands, and then what that allows me to do I usually pray to the God and Goddess and tell them that I'm open. So what that allows me to do is it allows me to be a conduit for this universal energy. It's not my energy. Okay, it's not my gifts, it's not your energy, it's not your gifts. All of that comes from the heavenly host, as they say. And so that's basically what it is. It allows me to be a conduit and help people with any displaced energy or blocked energy or anything that might be going on. And now you're saying, okay, so how does, that universal energy do it within our bodies? Well, it is believed that we have 10 different bodies connected to each individual. 3 of them are inside. Well, 2 of them are inside. One's our actual body, and the 7 are 7 other layers. And all together, it makes up our energy field. So what the Reiki does is it sends all the energy to our chakra system. Well, Robin, what is a chakra system? Well, I'm going to tell you what a chakra system. According to the ancients, oh, by the way, I'm going to be getting up and down a lot because I have to show you certain things that I can't do sitting down like this. So your chakra system is basically, everybody has one. It belongs to the Nadi system, which is a system that's goes along with our nervous system, and gives and receives energy, right? And I want you guys to be open-minded about this, because you have to realize up to like almost a little bit over 100 years ago, they didn't even realize that we had a lymphatic system. They thought the nodes were just something, just some extra parts or something. They didn't really understand it. And now today that we know that there is. So, and it's the same with the endocrine system. They weren't really sure about it being its own system at the beginning of its discovery and the importance of it. So I want you guys to keep in mind of that when you're hearing it, okay? But the ancients believe that we have the chakra system, and the way that the energy flows is like, say that my finger is your spinal cord, right? So the nadis run on either side of the spinal cord, sort of like, coming from the top down to the base of your spine and back up. So these chakra systems, through different life experiences, through conditioning, through who you are as a person, born through, and if, the karma that we have to go through, the karma that we get to clean up, the karma that we get to enjoy this lifetime, all that energy is embedded in, like in the chakra system. It's our energy. It's what keeps us functioning. So when we're in a complete dysfunction, it's like these chakra systems will just be blown. So like anything else that has to do with our body and our being, we have to maintain homeostasis, and we have to maintain homeostasis, just not our electrolytes, or our pH balance, in our body. We also have to keep the homeostasis of our chakra system, so that we're thinking right, we're talking right, we're basically, whatever right is, I'm saying right for you, so you can, be that beautiful spiritual being and getting on with your human experience this time. So that's what it is. So, some people say that we have thousands of chakra systems, or chakras within that system. I've heard 100. I personally know of 10, and I work personally with 8 of them. One, the most important one for me, being a nurse, and being a Reiki practitioner, is my palm chakras. It's very, they're very important to me. But your other 7 go straight up, and they're the 7, that's what we're going to talk about today. So in saying that, I'm also gonna teach you what stones go with what, chants to go with each chakra, and affirmations. Okay, so the first one that I want to talk about is our root chakra. Okay, that is located at our spine, at the bottom of our spine. And what that is, and just to let you know, for any of you that have taken a basic psychology class, or in college, or is self-taught about such things like that, or if you are a sociology major or a psychology major, you'll be familiar with this. It very much, the chakra system very much, well, I shouldn't say that, because the chakra system, the ideal chakra of the chakra system is older, but you can correlate it with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, it basically follows the same thing. So, which doesn't surprise me very much, because Jung, in my world of astrology and synchronicities and serendipity and the occult, because Jung was an astrologer also, and he very much believed in reincarnation, and he very much believed in universal power. If I'm thinking correctly, Maslow was a student of Jung. So it's excuse me. It doesn't surprise me that Maslow was able to integrate this information into more of a acceptable Western style, aka sciences. So there we go. Okay, so back to the root chakra. The root chakra is correlated with the color red. It is correlated with the any stone, ruby, garnet, anything that's red. It's what it does is its function is for stability. Okay, if it's too open, you'll be very materialistic. It is about greed. It's because it's basically about our security. So of course we know, like, people that are materialistic or greedy, they don't know that they have enough. They don't know that they're safe. So they try to fill in that safety with more tangible things, things that they're able to hold in their hands. If it's open, if it's overactive, you'll be very sluggish, and you might be a little obese. Just because, with the root, it means that you really don't move too much. You're very grounded, too grounded almost. And not saying, that this is where all, morbid obesity comes from. So this is in generalities. So keep that in mind and keep your mind open. If it is underperforming, you will feel that you don't belong. You will be very fearful. You will be undisciplined. You just won't feel like you belong at all. It's sort of our fight and flight. It's like if it's under functioning, I do believe, it's like it might be where the panic attacks come from, from anxiety, because you feel, that you're being judged or whatever. So that's that. Now, a I chant every day, almost every day, religiously. And I guess that was a bit redundant, but I guess you know what I'm trying to say, right? So with that, the sound, you can do the everyday Ghana mudra like this, and I have to let you know, I cannot find the source, um a good source to tell you what all these mudras are. I don't mean for this information to be incomplete, and I do apologize to you for it, but it just seems like there's just not one single source. And so until I can find a pretty good source to share, to pass on to you, I can just go by my experience in what I've observed other practitioners doing, that chant and do such things. So you can just sit in easy pose and have your hands up like this, and you can chant the word, the sound that is associated with the root chakra is LAM. It's spelled LAM, but it's pronounced The AM is pronounced So it would be LAM, LAM. All right. So once start chanting that, and you get some of that energy flowing out, because there's too much, that would be, one that's overworking. It'll help slow that down. So then you realize that there's more than just being materialistic, that you do, your happiness is associated with getting moving and, getting started. If it's underworking, it will also put some energy to that and get that moving again. So you can start figuring out why you don't feel safe, or why you may, where you can develop more discipline. Okay. And usually people, it's also, you might be underweight if it's not functioning, because restlessness goes to that, with that, if it's under functioning, which makes sense. Very jittery people, most people that are anxious and all that, are rather jittery. Okay. So when you do the chanting with it, just imagine like red light going to the base of your spine. And now it goes more like, these circles go more like an axis that's more vertical, with with the centers facing like a cookie would face up, with a bar going down through it. Okay. Like tires facing up with the axle going down through it. They run like this. Okay. Because it generates and the energy, and the energy goes up. It's part of Kundalini yoga. If you guys saw, happened to catch my video on yoga, I talked about the Kundalini, that sitting at the base of your spine, and that's the point of the yoga, to go up, so you can reprogram this biocomputer, aka our brain, but they call it the biocomputer in Kundalini, in modern Kundalini yoga. Recondition it so we can think of, with a higher consciousness, with we know it in the Western world as the Christ consciousness, right? So that's that. Okay, so the right of that is to be here. You're allowed to be here. And a good affirmation for that is, I am safe. I am stable. I am a mountain. I am abundant. I am able to share. Okay. Good practice would be like, if you're if you're an overspender, you might want to think about where, in your life, you're thinking somewhere else there might be scarcity, or you might be a little restless in another part of your life, and you're trying to cover that up or fill that void up with spending. We've all been there, right? We call it shop therapy. We laugh about it, but there might be something else going on, especially if it becomes a problem. So the second chakra that I want to talk about is your sacral chakra, and that is located right here in your pelvis. It includes your genitalia, and it includes your hips. So the goal of the sacral chakra is to want. It's allowed to have pleasure. That it's like our pleasure center. Okay, it is associated with creativity. It is associated with sex. If it's overly open, if you rely on that too much, if it's too active, you'll be overly emotional. You'll have poor boundaries. You could become a sex addict. If it is under functioning for whatever reasoning, you'll become frigid. You can have impotence. You will be fearful of pleasure, any pleasures. Okay. I think of that conditioning, examples of that conditioning would be like, if you're a sexual assault victim of any kind, if you were raised in a fundamental religious family where they taught you that sex was just for procreation and it's not something that we're supposed to enjoy, it's just something that we have to endure. Okay, now we know how that works, right? Doesn't work very well. So another way, for it to be overly open, again, is sexual assault victims. It go either way. You guys all remember the girl that, that might have been a little more free in high school, because she was trying to, fill a void, because the conditioning of such assault, it screws up your chemistry a little bit. The color associated with the sacral chakra is orange. A good stone for that would be cornelian, a rather cheap one too. Not rare. It's a very basic stone that you might have if that's if you're into that. The sound for your sacral chakra is lam. Lam. And the mudra for that is something that you probably used every day. If you feel like you have to be a good person or keep it all under control, would be, like if you're sitting at church or sitting, in a doctor's office or something, it'd be right hand over left, being cradled by the left, and thumbs touching. And you would just put it right here about where your bladder would be. And you just go, Lam. And that's all there is to that. A good affirmation for your sacral chakra is I am sexually free. I know the spiritual side of sex. I am sacred. I am sexually sacred. I am creative. I am sexually healthy. My sexuality, I am comfortable in my sexuality. My sexuality is okay. Okay. Some people just have a higher. Now, I want you guys to know this. All this stuff is, I know I'm saying 765, because we're going down, blah, 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 etc., etc. But you have to understand that all these chakras they work independently, but they also work interdependently, sort of like our heart and like our vascular system does with our respiratory system, or how our cardiac system works hand in hand with our renal system, with our kidneys. So, keep that in mind. It's the same concept with this. Okay. So our third is one that you've probably heard a lot about. I mean, it actually is, when I took anatomy and physiology, I actually learned this is the solar plexus. It is the goal of this chakra is to act. So it has to do with your self-will. It has to do with your personal sense of power. Okay, it's associated with the color yellow. You could get an amber for that. You could get a yellow topaz for that. Anything yellow would be good. Think of it as for the lion, right? The sun. It's the lion is associated with the sun, with the Leo, with the strength card and tarot. That's another subject. So if it's overactive, you're going to be very dominating. You're going to be very controlling. You're going to be rather aggressive, constantly active. If it's under active, you're going to be a pushover. You're not going to follow your own will. You're just going to follow the crowd. You will not be able to put up nor maintain your boundaries. You will do what everybody else tells you to do without thinking about what your own needs are, how you will shine. Going back to the sun, you will be very fearful. You will think about it, those that, you have this project at school, and, you have to have 50 million people to read it for you, before you hand it in. You don't think it's good enough or whatever. Or, or thinking going on vacation, and you really, really want to go somewhere, and you've always wanted to be there, but your friends tell you, not to go there. It's blah, blah, whatever they got to say. And you listen to your friends instead of finding out, for yourself that this actually might be for you. That would be an underacting solar plexus. That's the whole beautiful thing about the breath of fire that I taught you about before with the Kundalini yoga, because it helps strengthen that. And it's really funny, because I'm really not a confrontational person, and say, like, I walk away from confrontation more than I do anything. And I'm a very strong person, always been athletic, and I always very strong in my upper body and always strong in my lower body, but I could never do a regular old push-up to save my life. I couldn't get up, and the rest of my abs, were strong as whatever. And I could never figure out why. But once I started learning about the Kundalini and started learning about the chakras, it totally, and learning about my conditioning and things that happened to me as a kid, it makes sense. It makes sense about, the willpower. I, always just had that, in some instances I had a weak will. I couldn't maintain my boundaries in certain situations. Fearful in others. So it makes sense, but that's all changing now, thank God. Let it shine. Shine, 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 let it shine. I'm letting my light shine. Okay, so anyway, a really good, one of the mudras for your solar plexus is just put your hands in prayer mode, but instead of well, I forget what going through is, but you will hold it this way, okay? Right at your solar plexus. And while you're holding it together like this, you can go, the chant for that is, or the mantra for it is Ram, Ram. And it'll help balance that out either way. And I have to tell you is once you guys, if you guys decide to do these chants and you decide to do the mudras, you will be able in time, you will be able to send that vibration down from your throat and down from your lungs down to the part that you're trying to work on. You just have to picture the sound as light and just send it down to the body part that you're doing, and you'll notice that the sound will travel. The vibration will go with it. It's all about the mind, guys. It's all about frequency and vibration, okay? Easy peasy. So the fourth one is the middle one. This is the heart chakra. The heart chakra, you got to think of these chakra systems as, like I like to think of it as the lower three being our earthly duties, our everyday thing. Our upper chakras, our upper three, from our throat, our third eye to our crown, is the upper three. They have to deal with more of our spiritual life. Okay, so what it does is, the importance of the heart chakra is that it brings it all together. It ties the two. It's like the center where heaven meets earth. Okay, it is associated with the color green. It's also associated with the color pink, which I was a little confused about that. But if you think about it the way that I just described this, the green would be the lower centers, you know, representing the energy that comes from the lower centers up, and the pink being the higher centers. It makes sense, doesn't it? A good stone for this, a green stone, a good green stone for that would be malachite or meldovite. I hope I pronounced that right for everybody. Or a rainbow Florentine. It has the pinks and the greens and a little bit of purple and quartz, which won't hurt anything because the quartz, you know, it empowers, it like charges up other stones to work more efficiently. It's sort of like a booster, a power boost. So if it's higher functioning, if you're, you know, if your heart is way too open, you're the person that's going to have codependent relationships. You are the person that's going to be the overgiver and you're not going to believe that you are allowed to receive. The goal, in saying that, the goal of the heart chakra is to love and to be loved. Okay. You will, you know, will also be possessive, and you'll also be jealous, right? Because you're going to think that you're not, you know, it's like, that's mine, I want it. And I don't know, because I would think, like, if it was closed and you had poor self-esteem, you know, you think that's when you would be possessive and jealous, you know, because if you know that you have a healthy self-esteem, it's not going to matter if your partners or your friends or whoever, parents, are you know, going to be talking to other people. You know, I mean, it's, you know, especially if they're, you know, just talking business or just seeing an old friend on the street or whatever. If it's under, you're going to be extremely shy. I am not talking about being an introvert here. Okay, guys, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that extreme shyness where you will not let anybody in because you feel that you're unworthy. If it's closed, you're going to feel lonely. You know, if your heart chakra is shut down, you're going to feel isolated. You're not going to have any empathy. You're going to be very critical. You're going to be rigid, you know, bitter. You know, that's an underfunctioning. That's somebody who shut their heart down. You know, it's something, right? So the mudra that I've learned for that is, you're sitting in an easy pose. Don't mind me sitting this way. I'm just using the yoga that I have. I've been doing a lot of yoga to open up my feet, being a nurse, and it caused, being a nurse, it hurts. So anyway, so I'm using what I have. So, you put your left hand down in Ghana, just down on your knee like this, and you do Ghana with your right hand, and you put, which is just your forefinger and your thumb, and you put it in the middle of your sternum with your finger splayed going facing to the left side of your body, which makes sense, right? Because it's sort of like the energy, because your right side gives out energy and your left side is the receiver. Your right side's masculine, your left side's feminine, right? The giver, the receiver. So you just sit here, and this one is Yam, Y-A-M, Yam. 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 Easy peasy. And the way that that this is working, you're going to be, that your heart chakra's balance is, you're going to be one of those people, to go back to an analogy that I used in an earlier video, that you're one of those people that know that you have to put your, if you're in a plane and the plane's going down, you know that you have to put your oxygen mask on, i.e. loving yourself, taking care of yourself first before you put the mask on somebody else. Okay, you have to help yourself before you can help somebody else. Hard lesson to learn, because some of us are programmed, God made some of us, and the goddess created some of us to see the divinity in everybody, and that's why we give. That's why we overgive. Because to us, it's like loving people on this plane is loving God, which is the truth, right? But the thing is, we forget to love ourselves first. We make ourselves completely empty. I did that, all my life, and it put me in crisis about 2012. And, it's no good. I was in a lot of codependent relationships. I did not have poor boundaries. I had very poor boundaries. I would just let people say or do whatever. It would take me a lot. I'm not that person anymore, thank God. Okay, so some good affirmations for that is, I am loved. I am able to love. I am able to give as much as I receive. I am able to receive as much as I give. My heart is open. I am able to love like my heart's never been broke, right? Because we don't want to be all bitter. We don't want to be all critical. I am able to accept my daughter's or my son's or my partner's decision, even though I think it's wrong, because I love them. It's like, I am able to want my partner to have this experience, even though I can't go, because you love them. That is being open. That is, that's love. Okay. So enough with that. So the fifth one is your throat chakra. It is associated with the color blue. A very good stone for this would be a sapphire, a blue topaz. I always use angelite. It's a lighter blue, though. I mean, when you think about the blue that they use, is they associate it with like a cobalt blue, like a navy blue. I use angelite just because I you know, I believe that I'm connected to the angelic realm. Well, I know I am. There's no thinking about it. I know I am. So, okay. So the goal of this is to speak and to be heard. If it's overly open, you're going to have somebody that's excessively talking. You'll have somebody that cannot listen, somebody that stutters. And I'm not talking about just a disconnection, you know, like the learning disability that makes you stutter from, you know, you just need the rhythm of your mind and your tongue to work together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more like me, for example. When I get very overly excited, I stutter and I talk very fast, and I forget words. I don't put words in there. I think I'm saying the words, but I don't. It's sort of like I stammer a lot. Not any more than I'm doing on these videos, huh? Which is okay, because it's me. It's all right. And anybody that that's overly or under, you know, their throat chakras under functioning is somebody that's fear of speaking, somebody that's in poor rhythm with their speech. You know, that person that says the joke at the wrong time. That's me too. You know, because, you know, at any time, depending, you know, a sidebar, depending on whatever situation you are in, like if you're at home, you know, your solar plexus and your throat chakra could be overly working, you know, like a lot of people that are abused are, you know, that put abuse down on, you know, other people below them, you know, their descendants, their children, or, you know, but when you're in the workplace, you know, that insecurity, that low self-esteem is going to manifest in somebody that might be a wallflower. You know, that's, you know, it's always the quiet ones, right? So, that's that. Or aphasia, like you just don't talk at all. You know, somebody, something so traumatic happened and their no wasn't no, and they stopped talking. I mean, isn't that what happened to Mayo Angelou? Didn't she run into some, you know, some trouble with some of the men in her family? Um, yeah, that's that. You also have to understand it's also part is to speak and to be heard. So, but you also, if you're a gifted person, especially if you're an air sign, or you know, very strong Gemini or very strong Mercury or very strong, like a Libra Venus, because Libra rules Venus, or Venus rules Libra and Taurus, um, or very Aquarian, you know, you might get thoughts, you know, you might hear, which is part of the throat chakra, you know, some of the messages, you know, if you're a psychic or if you're a medium, you know, that's how that will come to you. You know, that's part of your throat chakra too. You know, it's the part of you that's, or your throat chakra, that part of you that's also works in association with your third eye. You know, that's how that would work. So you know, if you're gifted or something, you know, and if you have a hard time having the guts to say what you're supposed to say, you might want to work on your throat chakra a little bit. So that takes us up to our 6. Oh, so the mantra for your throat chakra, and this is going to surprise you, it's not an English word, guys. Simple is hum. It's spelled ham, Ham, but it's hum. So um, you will cradle your hands, you know, put your, what the hell am I trying to say? You know, you'll clasp your hands together. You'll put them like this towards your your sacral chakra, because your sacral chakra, like I said, is your you know, has to do with creativity, and of course your throat is the vehicle where that, you know, more than likely where your the vehicle of your creativity comes out of. And you put your thumbs together, and then you just go hum. And what's and two fun side notes on your throat chakra. Another, okay, is I've been noticing that my throat muscles are getting a nice little workout from this, and so is my abdomen, because when you do this, you gotta, use your abs, your diaphragm, to make the sounds, to push the air through, right? So I mean, it's a good workout for your throat muscles and for your abs. But a really fun part of it is if you really get it going, you'll tickle your own lips. It tickles your lips, and you get the giggle about that. So that's all good. That's all good stuff. Okay, so let's go up to our sixth. Our sixth is basically our third eye. The goal of that is to see. Okay, to see what you really want, to see what you're really seeing, to make sense of it. Me, it's like my third eye is very important to me, because I don't always see what's really there. It's as things are. It's like my moon's with Neptune, and tied into two more of my personal planets very tightly, and it's what makes me see the divinity. I can't see the bad guys. I couldn't see the bad friends. I couldn't, I just can't see. Sometimes I can't see. So that's what's awesome about astrology. That's one of the reasons why I, went first to go for astrologer, because I had to know what the hell was going on. No amount of praying was working except getting the answer, go see an astrologer, which I put off for a couple years. Thank God I did, because now I get it. Now I get it. All I got to do is pray and meditate on any situation that I'm in. And, I get hits, all the time. My guides, I'm able to see then. I'm able to, see. It's wonderful. Because not everybody, somebody put on Facebook about the divinity, that they see the divinity in everybody, and I do too. I can recognize it, and you get screwed over and over and over and over. And the thing is anybody that's like that, I don't want you to give hope. Keep seeing the divinity in everybody, but what you have to remember is, just because we get to see their divinity doesn't mean that they're going to live, that they know, understand the divinity in them, and that they might not ever reach to that potential in this lifetime. Okay, and it's no fault of theirs. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just where they're at right now. They don't know. They don't get it. Okay, so love from afar, right? You can do that. Love from afar. I do it all the time. I have to. So if it's too open, you might get headaches, especially if you're not living clean. Okay, if you're like very psychic, very medium, and you start trying to use your gift and you're asking, to open up, if you're not living right, with drugs or your food or, alcohol, smoking, what have you, like you'll get bad headaches. If it's too open, also you'll get nightmares, because you're getting input from all these other different dimensions. You're getting input. Your mind is trying to work out what it's trying to tell you. Your subconscious, what your spirit's trying to tell you. It's like, hey, this dude is not good. Okay, or hey, that dudette, she ain't no good. Okay, so think about that. Or the job's not for you. If it's too shut down, you're going to have a poor memory. You're going to have vision problems. No imagination. No imagination. You're not going to be able to see a butter knife and, be able to be like, oh, I can unscrew a screw with like that. Or, you definitely won't be writing a song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. It's like, you won't be able to see the potential in anything. So, and it's very nice because, growing up poor, growing up poor, you know, you have to use your imagination. You know that there's more than one way to skin a cat, and it's very useful. You know, you don't call the doctor, you don't call the plumber, you don't call the electrician till you absolutely have to. You do, you know, being raised by a single mom, like I was, you know, our matriarch, we did all that stuff. You know, sometimes, you know, mom taught us to do all that stuff. The only time mom ever asked for help is when she really needed help. Okay. And you'll be in denial. You know, if it's closed, you'll be in denial. Like, you'll know that your wife is sleeping on you and you refuse to see it. You know, that your friend is not good for you. You know, I went through that a couple, well, I'll leave that to myself. You know, if it's closed, you'll refuse to see what you're supposed to be seeing. You know, sometimes we shut these chakras down on purpose. Okay, just so we can live in our security, so we can live in our rut, so we don't have to change. That's that. So the colors associate, you can do 2 stones associated with your third eye. Either, well, actually, there's 3. I've read tiger's eye, which you can also use for your solar plexus, a clear quartz, which is the one I prefer, or you can use an amethyst, whatever your preference is. I've used both. I prefer the clear quartz. It works best for me because I put the amethyst on my 7th. We'll get to that, but whatever works for you. Now, there's also 2 different sounds, chants, mantras for this. It's either Om or Shom. Okay. I first learned Shom, but I tell you, I prefer Om, and I'll tell you why once we get to the 7th. So the mudra that I was taught to use with the sacral, or with the third eye, is you put meat with the second knuckle on each of your fingers, except for your pointer fingers or your middle fingers and your thumbs. They will be finger pad to finger pad. And you put your thumbs right into your sternum. And you just chant, Om. Om. And this one's very good. I do have to tell you, it's not as effective when you have your glasses on, just because it inhibits the vibration from resonating. But sometimes, if you do this, you will get your sinuses will start breaking up a little bit. You know, if you have an infection, a good affirmation for this is, I can see clearly. I can see what God wants me to see. I can see clearly what my guides want me to see. Yeah, I am seeing correctly, no matter what that is. Now, if this, I have to tell you, another thing is, if your third eye is too open, okay, you can see hallucinations, you can see delusions, you can read too much into it. Now, listen, I'm not getting into this debate of mental health issues, of if it's of spiritual ilk or if it is of psychological ilk. Being a spiritual person and a nurse, my personal is, it's both. Nothing is just cut and dry, guys. Nothing. It's not black and white. Everything is in the gray. Okay, that's where life happens, in the gray. All of it. You know, black and white is each end of the spectrum. Who wants to be there? There's no balance. The balance is in the middle. So that's what I believe. Okay. That's why, you know, with the Kundalini yoga, that's why I was saying, it's like, sometimes, you know, if you take acid, if you take mushrooms, or, you know, if you have a trauma, it opens up, it it throws that kundalini up, and it just opens up all those chakras, goes up, goes up. Well, if this third eye chakra is up like this, I mean, you think you're insane. You know, you think you're going crazy. You have constant and total um uh constant and total um impressions coming in. Like when I was first taught how to, mine must have been so open, because when I first started, I went to this lady that lives across from a local library. I forget her name. I think her name's Elizabeth. But anyway, she knows how to move energy. She's like an energy practitioner. It's not really Reiki. It's not, it's not working with pressure points so much or whatever, but she just moves energy. And when she taught me first, she was the first person that ever taught me about my magnetic field and all that. But moving that energy out. When I left her house, I never heard such quiet. I had no impressions coming in. I get a lot of mine through my touch, but I also get a lot auditory, through hearing, and just quiet. There was no impressions. It was the most fantastic thing ever in my life. I couldn't imagine somebody that thinks more traditional and they don't learn how to use that power. It's like it's really phenomenal. So take it easy on people that you think just hallucinations and people that are delusional. Um, just might be a gift that they're not willing to open up, and that energy will go somewhere. So this takes us to the to our seventh um and the last chakra that we're talking about. It is your crown chakra. So it is to know. So if it is open, you are overly intellectual. You'll be a spiritual addict. You will yeah, you'll dissociate. Just sort of think about it. The person that you know uh went through some like really bad trauma, and then they become catatonic for no reason. I mean, there's nothing that their brain's working. The synapse, the neurons are firing. The synapses, you know, uh, are firing and taking in all the info, and everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. Well, that's what it is. They dissociated. They know, spirit's something else. We all know in our spirit, right? Inside of our hearts of hearts, it's like, I don't want to be here anymore. And they're gone. They take off. Why? The lesson learned, I don't know. I don't know why. That's not for me. So if it's too closed, think about it. If you're overly stressed and you're thinking about too much of everyday things, you have a difficult time learning, right? You will be a heavy spiritual skeptic. And I don't mean anybody with I'm not talking about anybody with a healthy skepticism. I'm talking about those people that no matter how many times you tell them your story, if you had a miracle story and it defies all logic, um, you know, defies all science, and they still don't believe in miracles. It's like, are you kidding me? Or, it's people like that. It's shut off. Or, you're very limited in your thinking. Or again, you don't really have any empathy. When I think about people that really, the far end of somebody that has the crown closed is somebody that, those truly evil people, that like if you're shut off from source, you're not going to have any real empathy. You're going to be that person that kicks the fucking dog. You're going to be the person that, uh, starts killing cats and birds and moving on to people. You'll you know you'll be the serial rapist. You'll be that extreme narcissist, that don't think about other people. If you're a player, a female or a male player dog, knowing that you're hurting these people and not giving a shit, that's being closed off from source. That's, um, anyway, enough of that. So the color associated with your crown is like a violet, like the ultraviolet. Okay, it is, you can either, the stone associated with that is, again, I said earlier, I said you could either use the quartz, the clear quartz, or you could use an amethyst. I prefer amethyst, and because I'm going to show you why, because I'm going to I'm going to teach you one way to associate all the colors with what chakra. The sound for that is either Om, which I already did for the third eye chakra, or Ah. Okay, so you clasp your hands together. Now here, so see this. Ah! So you'll also clasp your thumbs, but it's the left thumb over the right thumb. This is a Venus lock. Okay, this is a very, we're receiving from up above, so it's a very feminine thing that we're doing here. We're receiving, right? So you just put the thumb in the middle of your chest, and your fingers are going to be straight, again, into the heart, okay? And you're going to go, ah, ah. Now, hopefully you'll be able to get that vibration up in your head, which I have only done once through all my years of chanting. But I keep going. I keep trying to do it again. I mean, if I did it once, I can do it twice, right? So if you can't seem to get the vibration moving anywhere, don't worry, just keep trying at it. Okay, it will happen, I promise. Just be open, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't chase it. It will come. A good mantra for that is I am open to source. I am supported by source. I am graceful. It's like, I like to say that because I'm somebody that can be over intellectual, and sometimes I think of, like, my friends and people that are close to me will hear me say, that's not very practical. Why are you doing it that way? It doesn't make sense. It's like I'm over intellectualizing it, instead of sitting there and seeing that my children or my friends or my partner just want to do something a different way, just because, just play, yeah. So that's that. It's like I'm open to source. That's, I am connected by source, to source. I like to say, I am in God and God is in me, because, we're all connected. There is no abyss, just to let you know. It's not true. There is no separation. They only want to tell you that so they can control you. So, you have no problem. God is right there. God is inside of you. The mother and the father are right inside of you. You don't believe them when they say that's an abyss. That's the guilt and shame bullshit. Fire and brimstone, just so they can have power over you. It's to minimalize your own power as a creation of being a part of creation. Yeah. So that's that. So an easy way to remember the colors, let's go back to third grade science class, okay, is Roy G. Biv. It follows it. I don't know why, how, it does. Okay, so Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The reason why I use the amethyst for my crown chakra, Now, another way to remember the chants, the way I remembered it is, but I'm going to go down, okay? From the third, or from the fourth, from the solar plexus down, because the ram needs the vam. Remember, because our sacral, the V, vam, think of vagina, okay? Because it does rule our sexual organs, to make the lamb, okay? The ram needs the vam for the lamb, okay? Lam, vam, ram, or the lamb can't come about to the vam has a ram. Lam, vam, ram, okay? Now, let's go up. So, if you follow Mediterranean, you know that you eat your vegetables and your fruits before you eat your meat. That way, all the fiber can push everything through, and and the meat digests better, right? So you always eat the yam before you eat the ham, okay? And it was good, okay? Easy way. You eat the yam before you eat the ham, and it was good. All right? That's an easy way. That's how I learned it. Because it can get confusing, because you're like, okay, so what's the color, and how do I do my hands, and what's the sound, and sometimes if you just if you aren't comfortable with the chants and you just want to do the mudras, that's cool too, because this is prayer mudra. You guys know what this is, bringing two hands together. I mean, this is older than Christ. This brings both sides together, the feminine and the masculine. It brings it together. So don't think that you're not doing anything that Christ didn't already do, for those that are Christians, because, there's a lot of evidence that Christ studied Buddhism, that the Christ studied Hinduism, that he was in India, that he spent time in India. And by the way is the way. It's the Tao Te Ching, which in itself is about 600-700 years older than Christ. So the way is not a new concept. It is, it's part of the part of the Tao Te Ching. So, don't worry about that. It's not, it's not satanic. You're not going to go to hell. It's not going to open you up to the dark forces, to your shadow. Actually, what it's going to do is, doing this stuff, it's going to allow you to see your shadow and not try to destroy it, not try to starve it, because that doesn't work. It's just going to roar. But what you can do is it allows you to be balanced enough to love yourself, to know that that shadow is part of you, and to love it. But it doesn't mean that you have to act upon it. That's cool. It's cool that if you are at work and you're having a little problem with being over aggressive, with your clients or with your coworkers or whatever, you get that solar plexus, all balanced out, and your aggression levels will go down. If you, and like I said before, it's like all of these chakras work together. So if your heart's closed and you think that you have low self-esteem and you're not able to love yourself, and let's just say that you were sexualized at an early age, because of life's conditions, you'll go around and sleep around, because that's all you think that you are. Hypersexualization, you'll just let anybody into your sacredness, you can't let anybody into your sacredness, especially if you're a woman. Men, they imprint on us. We take their DNA. Think about it before you sleep with them, girls. You want to be them? If you don't want to be them, if you don't want to have their life, do not take them in. Hard lesson for me to learn, but I learned it. Let me see. Yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. So, if you feel like I can help you with any of this, and you want to see what Reiki can do for you and for your chakra system, you come on and get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, Robin's Eclectic Nest. I also have a Gmail account, robinseclecticnest@gmail.com. We can do that. This is, you know, and it's good because, and that's where the astrology comes in too, because, you know, I can see where you're already born, what lessons that you already have to, you know, you may have to learn, you know, what lessons you may have learned in the past lives. You know, it's like you can bring it all in, you know, as far as I was talking about the shadow, that's the beautiful thing about it is because, you know, astrology, it only impels you to be like this. It does not compel you to be like that. You always have a choice. Always. We always have a choice. Remember that. Okay, my beautiful lovelies. I guess this is all I wanted to say. And all right. So peace and happiness and shalom to you and have a good weekend, okay? Bye-bye. Turn it off.